Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Gabriella Millian here, and if you guys have never met me before, I'm actually a TV reporter in Los Angeles, California, and I like to do other YouTube videos on more lifestyle-y things. And of course, I thought this video was super important in particular. So if you know me, if you've known me for a little while, if you have been friends with me even for like a month, you will know that I love selling things on Facebook Marketplace. I don't know what it is. I've had really good luck in particular selling things on Facebook Marketplace, but I don't think it's completely an accident. At first, I kind of thought it was luck, but then I started realizing, I have a strategy and it's working. I added everything up and I have made over $4,000. I actually even sold something yesterday for about $5, but nonetheless, I have made over $4,000. This is not a joke. This is not clickbait. This is for real. So this video is going to be in two parts. I'm going to tell you my personal story, why I started selling things on Facebook Marketplace, and kind of even what my preconceived notions were about it, because I think you guys might have had or might have some of the same ideas. And then I'm gonna go into 5 tips that really helped me, I think gave me the extra edge to sell things on Facebook Marketplace. Now, I know that there are other platforms that you could sell things like Letgo, Craigslist, Poshmark. Me in particular, I haven't had a lot of luck selling on those platforms. If you guys have any tips and tricks that you'd like to share with me on how to better sell on other platforms, please let me know, because I'm always looking to sell some of my stuff online. But Facebook Marketplace has really done it for me. Now let's kind of get into my personal story. I'm originally from kind of like the New York area, and I was moving to South Florida for my first on-air reporter job. Now, when I was in New York, I was living with a roommate. Everything in my room was mine. So my parents had given me their old bedroom furniture when I first moved into this apartment because I had no money. And I had bought like a few things here and there, but pretty much everything that I had, I bought brand new. I pride myself off of finding good deals and bargains and all that, but everything I pretty much bought brand new. And I had this mentality that buying used things was like, I wasn't really crazy about it. Like, how do I know it's good? It might be dirty, it might be gross. And now, which I'm gonna make another video on everything that I've bought used in my apartment, and I do not think that way anymore. I was looking into moving from the New York City area to South Florida. I had my parents' old bedroom furniture, so I kind of knew that I wanted to get rid of that, and that moving that furniture probably wasn't going to move well because it was old furniture. So that's when I started thinking, let me see if I could sell this stuff. Then I looked into a U-Haul, and I looked into, okay, how much would it cost for me to pack up a small to medium-sized U-Haul, drive it all the way to Florida and unpack it, and the time frame that I would need and everything. It would have cost me over $3,000, probably $3,500 to pack up all of my so like my parents' old bedroom furniture, all of the other furniture I had, like a desk, I had an ottoman, all that stuff. It would have cost me $3,500, and I would have had to drive that U-Haul myself. That's not paying for someone else to drive it for me. That's me doing it on my own. So I was like, that's not worth it. Even all of the stuff that I had in my bedroom, I didn't even pay $3,500 for it. So I was like, nah, let me see if I can get rid of this stuff, if I can sell it and make an extra buck. On top of that, I was actually moving into a vacation home for 6 months in South Florida while I looked for another place to stay. And that place was fully furnished, so I didn't need furniture anyway. So it just made sense for me to sell everything. So I posted a few things, mainly furniture items, because I didn't think that I would really be able to sell anything else. I was getting a lot of messages, like especially for the bedroom furniture and the desk and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. And then I was like, let me see what other stuff I can sell. So I kind of put up a few other like smaller items just kind of for fun. Not really, I didn't think I would seriously be able to sell it. Like a vase, or like my ottoman, or my hamper. My hamper was the first thing to sell out of everything. Something that I was like, oh, that probably will never sell. It was the first thing to fly out of my apartment. That's when I was like, I could sell anything if I really put my mind to it. And I think it was just kind of like momentum, you know, whenever it's like if you're running or if you're doing any other activity and you kind of keep hitting these wins, you kind of like build this momentum and this adrenaline and you just want to keep going. That's how I felt. Like I kind of hopped onto this like selling things on Facebook Marketplace high. I just wanted to sell everything. And again, if you know me, I talk about selling things on Facebook Marketplace all the time. Actually, my grandma the other day said that she purposely didn't buy me a certain Christmas gift because she was like, I don't want you selling it. So it's kind of like a running joke in my family, but that's truly how I am. I get super excited about selling things on Facebook Marketplace and buying. So I am going to do another video. Stay tuned, probably next week, for some of the things that I bought in my apartment from Facebook Marketplace. So I did that, sold everything, and it made the moving process so much easier. Literally, the only thing I brought with me to Florida was whatever fit in my little Volkswagen Jetta, and that made moving so much easier. Had a good time there, stayed in that vacation rental, and then moved into my own one-bedroom apartment in Florida. The station I was working for actually ended up shutting down. So I ended up losing my job in Florida, which that's a whole other story. If you guys want me to talk about, you know, what it's like getting laid off from a job and trying to rebuild the pieces and find the next one, I could definitely do a story on that because I've actually been laid off from 2 failing companies or 2 failing projects. They were more like projects. So I know all about kind of having to start over and start from scratch, but that's another story. So this company ended up shutting down and I got a job offer here in Los Angeles. If you don't know, I am a TV reporter for ABC7, Channel 7 in Los Angeles, California, which is amazing. I love my job. It's awesome. Like, I really do think it's like crazy how life works out. Trust me, when one door closes, another one opens up. And that's a whole other story. I was like, oh man, I had just moved into this new apartment from that vacation rental that I was living in and had just bought a bunch of furniture. Most of it I bought used on Marketplace, but still, like, you know, moving from one place to another is a process. So having to go through all of that again was like, oh man, I had only been in this apartment for a couple of months and I already had to start from like zero. So I went on Marketplace and I was able to sell my bedroom furniture. I was able to sell my pull-out couch. I was able to sell my table and chairs. I was able to sell pots and pans and bowls and plates and utensils and you name it, I was able to sell it. And I did the same thing. I sold all of my stuff in Florida that was in that apartment and just packed up whatever I could fit in my little Volkswagen Jetta. So my dad helped me with the first half of the trip and my boyfriend helped me with the second half of the trip. And I remember the first half of the trip, I pretty much sold everything, but there were still a couple of things that I wasn't able to sell that couldn't fit in my car. So I ended up kind of putting it in a bag and giving it to Goodwill before we started our trip to the West Coast. When I moved here to Southern California, the LA area, luckily I stayed in an Airbnb and then even in a guest house that was fully furnished, so I didn't have to worry about furniture for a while. But then when I moved into my current apartment, I had to buy furniture. That kind of takes me into things that I've bought off of Facebook Marketplace in particular. But even when I moved here, I still sold some things on Facebook Marketplace. It's not like I only sold furniture. I sold probably the strangest items, which I will pull up and show you guys. But now I want to take you guys into tips now that I've told you my personal story, kind of the setbacks that I thought I would bump into and things that I was like, who's going to buy this off of me? Like, this is, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I feel uncomfortable. I'm going to give you guys 5 main tips and tricks in order to sell your things on Facebook Marketplace and to kind of better your chances in being able to sell these things. Tip number 1, make your photos look pretty. You know, kind of stage them a little bit, almost like you're trying to sell a product. I mean, because technically you are trying to sell a product. Now that I have a phone that has portrait mode, like with the iPhone, I would even take photos on portrait mode and try to make the lighting look better. And whatever kind of mess in the background, I would like clean up the mess a little bit to try to make them look pretty. If they look prettier, people are going to be like, that's nice. And also, if there's less of a mess in the background, people are subconsciously going to be like, oh, wow, this person takes care of her space, his or her space, and they probably took really good care of the item in particular, so I'm probably getting an even better deal. So that's tip number 1, make the photos look pretty. Tip number 2, be honest about your listing. This is just from experience, both from buying and selling things on Marketplace. If you're not honest about your listing, if you're saying that this thing is brand new and you've used it before, chances are the person's gonna find out. And a lot of times, which this is smart, even when I've bought things on Facebook Marketplace, somebody, if they're kind of like not sure whether or not they wanna buy something off of you, they will wanna see it in person first. And then if they see it in person and really like it, then they'll buy it. But if you're not honest about the listing and you're saying, hey, this thing is brand new, it's never been used, it's totally not scratched, there's no wear and tear, then it's gonna make you look bad and that person could give you a bad rating. So that's another reason why I think I've had such luck on Facebook Marketplace is I have a really good seller rating because people can rate you after they've done business with you. And if you have a good seller rating, then more people are gonna see your things. So just be honest upfront and super reliable and nice when you're interacting with potential customers to buy your things on Facebook Marketplace. Tip number 3, be willing to negotiate and lower your prices. People are going onto Facebook Marketplace to find a deal. They don't care if you never opened the product. They don't care if you never used it, if you never touched it, if you literally bought it last week. I'm going onto Facebook Marketplace to find a steal, to find a deal, to find something that I'm not going to be able to find in stores. So if you're taking, I don't know, say there's this, I'm trying to look around. Say there's this lamp, right? You've got this lamp over here. I got this lamp on HomeGoods. And say I bought it, I ended up losing the receipt. I couldn't return it for whatever reason. So say I wanted to get my money back by selling it on Facebook Marketplace. If I'm selling that lamp only for like $2 or $3 or $5 cheaper than what I bought it for, chances are people aren't going to buy it off of me because they're not going to think that they're getting a really, really good deal. So be willing to negotiate and lower your prices. Because in my opinion, selling it for something is better than having it in your space when you don't even really like it and still having it there with no extra money in your pocket. Tip number 4, post your listing in multiple groups. So I know like in LA, when I lived in New York too, even when I lived in Florida, in LA they have Los Angeles stuff for sale, like a group. They have Studio City, Silver Lake, Burbank, Glendale, kind of like all of these different areas of LA. They have their own Facebook groups that are just for sale. I speak Spanish, so there's like a group that's like Vendedores del San Fernando Valley, which I live kind of in the San Fernando Valley area, which is a part of LA if you're not familiar. So when I go to post a listing on Facebook Marketplace, I fill out all the fields, I put my photos up, and I go to publish that listing. It asks you if you want to post it in other groups. join all those groups, honey. If they're selling something, join those groups and post in there too, because that will just get more eyeballs on your listing. And if nobody's messaging you for that listing through Marketplace, they might DM you or message you or comment on your post from that group for whatever item that you're trying to sell. So the more eyeballs on your stuff, the better chances you will get for selling it. My very last tip number 5. If after, say, 2 to 3 weeks, you listed your listing and nobody's reached out to you for whatever reason, instead of renewing the listing, which is what Facebook will tell you to do after a little while, don't renew it. Instead, delete the listing and make a brand new one. For whatever reason, maybe people didn't see your stuff. And it could be for multiple reasons. Maybe nobody was interested in that particular item at that time. It wasn't really trending. Facebook's algorithm changed. Lord only knows why nobody saw your listing, but that might be the reason. So if you just leave it up and you just renew the listing, that listing is still going to go down, down, down. Not as many people are going to see it. Where if you live in a certain area and there are other people in your area that might be interested in your item, if you delete the listing and make a brand new one, it's going to end up at the top of the Marketplace feed. So you have a better chance of selling that item again, even though you already had a listing for it set up already. There have been times, actually even right now, the thing that I sold today was something that I had on Marketplace for over 2 months and it just was not selling, but nobody was seeing it because Marketplace also tells you how many people have viewed that item. I had like 2 views, and honestly those 2 views were probably like me and a friend. That meant that nobody was really interested in that item at that time and no one was seeing it, because if people were interested in your item, and even if you were like charging too much in their opinion or too little or whatever, if they were interested, they would at least click on it and you would get more views. So the fact that I was getting like practically no views on these items made me realize, okay, nobody's seeing this. So I deleted the item and relisted it. And then people were able to see my item and I was able to sell it. It's actually crazy. Whenever that's happened to me, whenever I've had an item on Facebook Marketplace for like a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and then I delete the item and I repost it, almost sometimes within the day or a day or 2 later, someone reaches out to me because they're interested in buying that particular item. Those are pretty much all of my tips in order to sell on Facebook Marketplace. Also, just kind of in addition, to give you a little bit more of a breakdown, I made $4,000 in less than 2 years because I did 2 of those big moves in 2 years, in less than 2 years actually. The cheapest, probably most inexpensive thing that I've sold on there, I've sold a couple of things for just like $5, and then the most expensive thing that I've sold was a bedroom set when I was living in Florida for $800. So yeah, that $800 took up a good chunk of it, but a lot of the stuff was a little bit lower. Probably after that, the most expensive thing that I sold, $500, which was my bedroom set in New York. And then after that, I had a really nice headboard here in LA that I had to sell after I moved apartments, and that was about $100. So the majority of the things that I've sold on Facebook Marketplace were definitely less than $100. I think really only those 3 items were over $100. So the $800 bedroom set, the $500 bedroom set, and the headboard was $100. But everything else that I've sold has been less than that, and I made that $4,000 in less than 2 years. You can do a lot with $4,000. My goal when selling that stuff wasn't necessarily to make money. It was just really to make the moving process as easy as possible, because I've moved a lot in my life, and just because you've done it a lot does not make it any easier. It is a pain in the behind to move from one place to another. I mean, I literally moved in less than 2 years, I moved from New York to Florida, so north to south, and then southeast all the way to the West Coast. I've moved thousands of miles, and if you can make the moving process that much easier, Marketplace is a way to go. Now, another little tidbit make sure you're safe. Make sure you meet these people in public places. I know for my furniture, I had to invite these people into my home, so I made sure that I got a good vibe from them and talked to them and made sure that other people were with me when people came into my home to pick up that furniture. But for some of the small stuff, I meet them usually in a public place. I meet them at a bank or in the parking lot in front of a grocery store. It's so much easier and safer that way to meet in a public place, so be smart. Now, one thing that I haven't really had luck selling online are clothes. Clothes have been really difficult for me to sell online, so I have stuck to Buffalo Exchange. That's been my favorite place to sell clothes in particular. I know Poshmark is a pretty good outlet as well. I've tried selling things on Poshmark and I really haven't had any luck. So if you have any tips on how to sell things on Poshmark, please let me know, because I've tried and it just hasn't worked out for me. But usually Buffalo Exchange has been really good. There are a lot of Buffalo Exchange stores in different parts of LA. I know they have some in New York as well, and probably in other major cities. So whenever I wanted to kind of like get rid of some clothes and make a couple bucks on them, then I usually go to Buffalo Exchange. But Marketplace really hasn't been good. But if you have furniture, is probably the best thing to sell on Facebook Marketplace. Random items, kitchen items, vacuums. My next video is going to be on things that I bought on Facebook Marketplace that I absolutely love. I'm so happy with these purchases and I saved so much money buying these things on Marketplace rather than brand new. So that'll be my next video, but I hope you guys got some insight. I kind of wanted to put this information out there because I know it got me out of a tough financial spot, and it helped make the moving process so much easier. I'm telling you, this is a game changer if you do it right and if you're consistent. I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any more questions. I can kind of do a deeper dive if necessary. But yeah, thanks so much for coming to my channel. Make sure to follow me on social media. On social media, I'm at ABC7Gabriella on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me there as well, or you can comment down below, and make sure you subscribe because I'll have some more videos just like this in the future. Bye guys.